Ora si registrerà la conferenza.
Okay. And this form of the implant is more cuttable, is very hard, and we use generally the jaw.
Okay, great. One thing that we didn't told you, behind us, you can see our surgery room. This is the place where we do usually the courses, even for the Romanian, through the Sabatimet, of course. Okay, let's go on. Let's go with an example, okay, a case that which can explain you as nice about what we're saying, okay? So in this case, we have the tooth 11, which was broken at the roots, and we removed that and we placed one implant. The way we placed that was, you know, the implants inside the bone with the rough part inside the bone, and the conical side intramucosally, because the cone, I will try to repeat as many times as I can, goes to dialogue with the soft tissue. Then what you can do with these implants is just place an abutment, and over that you can build up your crown at the age, at the highness that you need for doing aesthetic with the other tooth. So for instance, this is the way we usually do a temporary. We choose from a pre-made temporary crown. Then we can rebase, as usually we do with natural tooth. Then we can smooth, and we can get, for instance, one temporary tooth that we can place in just few hours, maybe 1 hour later than we do the surgery. And so this is the patient's. This patient is the first day, okay, the moment that we did the surgery. So we made the extraction here, and then we place the implants. You see that the implant, you see that please close your microphone. Hello, please close your microphone. Thank you. So you can see, well, what we can see here is the soft tissue after the extraction, and then the implant position it in.
In palatal bone is the bone that we prefer, where we use the immediate implant after extraction, because the palatal bone is harder, is very stable, and we have space in front for the soft tissue.
Okay, so if you are going to do this kind of surgery where you do the extraction, you place the implants, your healing process, as because you have the conical side which dialogue with the soft tissue, will be very fast. This is the hour later after the surgery with the temporary crown in, and this is 4 days later. You see already how fast is the healing process, and this is the crown 4 days later. And this is 4 weeks later. You see that you have a great epithelialization to the top of the cone. So the cone is just linked to the soft tissue. And the crown design the alveolus. And then this is after 8 weeks, where everything is already done. You see the implants, you see the base of the implant. You suppose that you have the cone inside the soft tissue, and then you have the rough part inside the bone. So this is 8 weeks later, and the process is all done. And what does it mean that everything is done? It means that you have round fiber, you have vessel, you have a neurological link, you have the periosteum goes around the implants, and so you have one part very well protected inside the bone. And this is what you see if you open up a flap. What you see that
this, you can see here in this beautiful images how the fiber is inserted in the neck of the implant. In this image that we captured some times ago, you can imagine that the fiber stay around the cone very strong, very stable, and with this elastic seal, you are sure that the bacteria, plaque, and other microorganisms can stay out. They stay out of the cone and very far from the bone.
So in the next images, you see the final situation of the alveolus. Okay, you see how everything is very well epithelialized. You cannot see the base of the implants because it's inside the mucosa. And this is the final crown. And you can get that kind of final crown because you have a healed tissue. If you don't have a very nice soft tissue, you cannot do very easily, okay? You cannot do this kind of rehabilitation. But let's go behind, because one thing that I would like to tell you now is this. When you see cases on the journal, on the internet, on the social media, wherever you like, you always ask about the X-ray, because maybe the soft tissue could be nice, but what about the bone? What about underneath? Yeah, what about the design of the bone? What about inside the bone? And what you can see here is the implant just after the extraction and the placing. You see the crown, where is the design? Where is the design of the temporary crown? You see how was the alveolus. And this is what you see 8 weeks later. And what you see is so beautiful that you cannot believe, because actually in there, you see that you have a nice space, okay, which is called biological width. So now you can understand that the reason why you have that very nice aesthetic, a very stable aesthetic, is because you have the space between the crown, between the crown and, between the crown and the bone, you have the space for the soft tissue, okay? So what is the biological width? Is that area which in the natural the tooth goes between the enamel and the root. Then you have here on the implant, Prama implant. This is very new because you have an area just in one piece, okay? You have one area in one piece which goes through the bone inside the soft tissue, making the space for the biological width. And especially what we have is space, okay? Because we need space between our crown and our implants to hold or to custody, okay, the biological width. So this is a very clear, this is another case. This case maybe you wouldn't like as aesthetic, but this case is made on 2 different kinds of implants, for instance. One is made on a bone level implants, and the other on Prama. And you can see clearly the difference. My bone level implant, okay, is going directly to the bone, and my crown is starting for the bone. Instead, Prama, my crown on Prama is starting on the soft tissue, because the cone is the space for the biological width. And in next images, you can understand clearly what I told you, because here you can understand that here our implants have the epithelium goes all the way down to the bone. Instead, here with Prama, you have that the epithelium goes on the base of the implants, then you have the connective ligament, and you have the space for your biological width. So it's much different. The 2 images talks a different story. And you also have a different kind of crowns, because for Prama, you just have a crowns as you should have on a normal tooth. For the bone level, usually you have a part which is cylindrical, which goes all the way down to the bone, to the platform of the implants. So every time you remove this kind of crown, bacteria is going down there. Okay, so this is very important to understand. And this is another case. And in this case, it's very clear once again. On one side, we have Prama, okay? So Prama is on this side. And then we have a bone level. And you can understand that the moment that you place a Prama or you remove a crown from a bone level, all the plaque, all the bacteria goes directly to the bone. So this is the hugest difference between Prama and the bone level implants. Space between the platform of the implants and the crown. Magnetic mallet. Let's say something about the magnetic mallet. We must speed up. What we can say about the magnetic mallet?
Well, the magnetic mallet is a machine that produces a force, a special force that can you see here. You have four different kind of force, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this machine, in the name of this machine, there is the core of this machine is magnetic. In this case, we have a force that is produced for the magnetic that imprint the force at the tip of the magnetic, and this force is so fast that doesn't produce a wave in the bone. And this is the difference between machine and other kind of force that you can use, like osteotom, like Bob Summers or osteotom, and the machine.
In fact,
in this case, you don't have any wave in the skull of the patient with this mallet, metallic mallet. You have all the force in the skull of the patient.
So we have different tips for different use, like extraction or osteotomies, or split crest,
or condensation of the bone, and tipping, bone sinus lifting. So you can use this force in different situations, and it's very practical, very easy, and super safe.
Okay, so let's see one images from how you use that. For instance, in this case, we open up a flap.
Yeah, we have incision in the crest, and we open a flap. Is full thickness flap. In this case, we have an indication for about the angulation of the implant, and we use the machine through the dime here. In this case, and you can see that I use the tip, but the bone of the patient doesn't have any modification about the waves.
Any trauma. So let's see
any trauma.
So for instance, you see how much powerful is the mallet, but you don't see that the head of the patient or anything happen but on the bone. Then after that, you can also use your burrs and place finally the implant.
You can notice on the right the expansion of the bone.
Right there.
The expansion of the bone with the machine. It's very important for us to have a very easy surgery and to have the very clear situation.
So this is by the hand.
Now we put some materials.
And then finally put the suture. So these are funny images because when we saw these images, it came up in my mind one experience that we had by the end of the 90s. It was maybe 99 or 2000, by now 20 years ago, with this guy. I don't know if most of you know him, but this is Bob Summer. Bob Summer is the inventor of the osteotomies, okay? Those osteotomies that today we don't use mostly anymore because we went from those using the hammer that you can see here to the magnetic mallet. But at that time, the funny things were that this guy used the hand. Instead, now you don't use anymore your hand. You use your hand to hold the handpiece, but you don't use anymore your hand to hammering the face or the mouth of your patient. So this is the old kit. This is the kit that we used to do since many years ago. And this is the kit that we use today. Everything changed. You can use this machine by yourself very easily. Because at that time, how was working the hammer? You hold the hammer and somebody hit the hammer? Or?
Yeah, you hit the hammer to the osteotomy, and all the force that you use, you can transmit to the skull, to the bone of the implant of the patient, and the patient have a trauma like a crash with a machine, with a bicycle. Okay, it's the same situation. This is the physical situation.
So yeah, just for give to you this idea how much important is using the mallet. We record this short movie. Okay, here we had a ridge which were very wide, very narrow. Sorry. And Giuseppe is holding by his hand. Okay.
In this case, I can hold with my hand the plastic bone, and you can see that there is no variation about the model. But you can see that the force open very wide the bone. This is the meaning of the densification of the bone. You can imagine that in a human bone you have expansion. Here you have a fracture. In the human bone you have expansion.
So you can imagine from these images that you are doing a lot of force on the cuff. You breaking the bone similarly, okay, but you can hold everything by your head. It means that the patient, in the moment that you are using the handpiece of the magnetic mallet, doesn't have any trauma from the heat. If you try to do the same things by using the osteotomy old style with the hammer, as you can see, I cannot hold the model because when you hit it, it moves all around. So you can understand clearly which is the work and the much difference between the works of the two machines, the handpiece and the holster and the magnetic. So this is another case. Let's see very fast. If we need to open up a flap and we have a lot of bone, then we can remove that by the burr. But then if we wanna make a bone expansion, okay, we need, okay, we can do by the burr a little bit more, but then we go with the scami. Yeah, we go with the magnetic mallet. So we can prepare a little bit by the burrs, okay, the side, and then to condensate the bone, we can use the mallet. And this gives us a lot of, it's very important for us to do this.
It's very important for us. It's very important for the osseointegration of the implant in this case.
The stability also?
Stability of the implant and so on. There is a question that I can read here, where we put the Prama, where the protocol about the bone, about the cone, and here we have the answer to the question. So we put the cone of the implant in the soft tissue as is possible naturally. In this case, we prefer to remove some bone to have a space to leave the cone in the soft tissue.
We will answer this question a little much more better later, because I will show you a case which is very easy to understand. In fact, this question is good. Everybody remember this question, because this is the difference between how you use the Prama implants and how you use the other implants. So let's go. Let's see another case by using the mallet. For instance, when you're doing a sinus lifting, and this is another case, and you can see on the model that when you use, you can imagine that this is the base of the sinus. No, dopo. Okay,
in this case, we have a sinus lift procedure, and you can see that I can hold the plastic model with my hand without any problem, and I use the magnetic mallet, and you can see that a piece of bone
came off
here. If we have a membrane, we can imagine that the piece of bone stay with the membrane and is the new level of the sinus.
So let's see a case. In this case, we can see how we do bone level, sinus lifting in a two different way. This is the first way.
We have two different situations. In the premolar, we have a bone enough in the vertical dimension, but we need to have expansion. And in fact, we use the magnetic mallet for the expansion that you can see is very clear here. We can insert for 10, maybe 11 millimeter in the bone, and we have a very large expansion that you can see here. Okay. In the other implant, maybe 1/3 molar, we have a sinus lift situation because we have maybe 4 or 5 millimeter of native bone, and in this case, we can use the magnetic mallet to elevate the bone in the sinus and put some material to stability for the stabilization of the membrane, and at the end we have the last instrument that we use, that is implant. Implant is the last instrument that we use. Okay, so we remove the bone, and the piece of bone is very stable in the membrane, we can appreciate the stability and the elasticity of the membrane with this special
probe,
round probe, and in this case we need some material to put inside because we need the stabilization of the effect of the bone elevation. In this case, I prefer to use this instrument with a stop.
And then the moment.
Then the last instrument that we use is the implant. The implant goes down. We want the rough part of the implant in the bone, and we leave the other part for the soft tissue. In this case, when I have no great stability, I prefer to close for the first intervention. I can see now.
So this is by the end with the other implants. So let's see the X-ray that was at the beginning. There was at the beginning without anything, and then here we see that the implant seems to be inside the sinus, but it's not inside the sinus.
It's not inside. It's inside the sinus, but the membrane is elevated. Maybe you can see here.
Okay, to cover the top of the implant.
Cover the top of the implant, yes.
And the other side, you see the grafting material and the implant inside. So it's very easy, as easy as you saw, very fast, very reliable, and everything like that. So let's go back to Prama. What we can see, we left Prama with the biological width, and we understood that biological width is a space that we made on the neck of the implants. So this space, I want that you understand how does it work like. If we place an implant, for instance, okay, and we have a crown, then we place the crown. This is the first day. This is in the other side is 15 days later. Okay. Close the microphone. And so what we see from the X-ray, we see the extraction side. We place the implants, and then we put the crown, and what you see down there, you see a space between the crown. Close the microphone, please. And that space is the biological width that we create on the neck of the implants. And this is the same case 2 years later, and you see how stable is, okay, the space between the crown and the implants. So there should be a relationship between the crown, the rough part of the implants, and the neck of the implants. This is another case. I go a little bit faster because we need time for doing all of it. This is another case. We place the crown 1 month, 1 year later, 2 years later, and let's see the X-ray, the extraction. Then we place the implants. Then we wait until we had the healing process. And once again, you see all the healing process around the crown, and you see that we have always that space between the between the crown, the neck, and the rough part of the implant. 3 years later, and you see how nice is it. And what we see this kind of healing process. We see that everything is sound. We see the base of the implants. We say that down there we have the neck, and this is the soft tissue going around the neck of the implants. If we change shape, even the bone change shape. So there's a great relationship between the shape of the crown and the implants. If we go in another case, like a bone level implants, you will see this. This is the bone level that we placed the first day, and this is years later. And once again, you see that we need space between our crown, okay, our crown and the bone. So there's, once again, the reason why mostly up to us you have bone reception is because you need space between the shape of the crown and the implant. This is another case. And this is one more case. You here you can understand nicely how the shape of the implants here, okay, needs space. So it was like this, but then it needs space and make resorption. Another more case. Okay, the implants the first day then I place, a month later resorption, because you need space between the shape of the crown, the divergent shape of the implants to the bone, because in this area you need space for the biological width. So what's new with the conical revolution? The news is that we have a biological width. The biological width is a space generated by a dynamic process, and this process takes place on the right place, and the right place, which is not, you cannot find in any other implants like bone level, happen on the neck of the implants. That space, as for natural teeth, is untouchable. If we want to have a healthy soft tissue at bone level, we need to have a space like Prama have. So going back to the images that the X-ray that we saw a few slides ago, you can understand that that space is perfect for the biological width, and it goes between the abutment of the crown and the neck of the implants. How happened this? Because we have the rampa effect, the crown design, we have the creeping process, we have the periosteum, which is the machine who makes a lot of cells for the healing process. And so the rampa effect is this. Let's see what does mean rampa effect. This is a case that we made five and more years ago. We place the implants, then we cover the implants, the neck of the implants. At that time, we used to do that. We cover the neck of the implants, and then this is the healing process. 3 years later, I decide to remove the covering of the implants. Okay, and what happened? This is where the crown for 3 years has been there covering the neck, but then after 15 days, it slides down to the neck. So it means that when we have a neck like the Prama has, the soft tissue tend to cover the abutment. So this is the first day, then we remove that, and this is 15 days later. You can see that the soft tissue slide, okay, on the neck of the implants to cover with the soft tissue the crown. And this is so this is 5 years ago. This is after I removed the covering of the neck, and this is 5 years later. I took this X-ray a couple months ago, and you can see that everything is so stable even after 5 years. The crown design is very important, because if you place the implants in the correct way, and then you place, okay, the crown remains at the level of the implants abutment connection. Yes, the question is, the crown remain at the level of the implants abutment connection? Yes, we never cover, okay, the neck of the implants, because we understood that the cover of the neck of the implants is the space for the biological width. And you will see now. You will see, we remove this tooth, he placed the implants immediately. This is 20 hours later. This is 4 days later. Everything healed very fast. And this is 2 weeks later. You see how nice is it? 2 weeks later only. You see that we didn't cover, absolutely, we didn't cover the neck of the implants. We just build up our crown on the abutment. You see how nice is it? And you can see here the final. Once again, to answer to your question, you can understand clearly that our crown is built on the abutment. So the face, no, the only things which is in connection with the top of the implants is the abutment. Then you have the shape, okay, of your crown, which goes to imprint the shape of the gum. And you can see here, this is the gum at the beginning. Then I modify a little bit the crown, and you can see that the moment that I touch the crown, my soft tissue changes as the shape of the crown. So this is the great innovation of Prama. If you have a space for your biological width, okay, then you have soft tissue, then you have that your soft tissue follow the shape of your crown. And this is by the final. How nice is it? Once again. And this is the implant in the first day. And this is what we get by 8 weeks later. Space for biospace or biological space for your soft tissue. This happens also if you do a full arch prosthetics. So let me go a little bit faster. Doesn't matter, you do the surgery. This is the next day. This is the temporary, then we apply usually the next day. 8 weeks later, you see this kind of tissue. And this kind of tissue, okay, is beautiful. Doesn't matter if you are on the implants or you are on the soft tissue, everything is so nice. It looks the same because you have a great relationship between your implants and the soft tissue. So let's skip. Once again, even in this case, you can see clearly that our final prosthetics is on the abutment. It doesn't go over the neck of the implants because the neck of the implants is deep inside the soft tissue. So this is the final restoration. You see how nice is it. And once again, you see the relationship between the cone, the bone, and the shape of our restoration. So Prama loves magnetic mallet because magnetic mallet is working together with Prama. In this case, we can see that we use at the same time, we made the extraction, okay? So now for those who ask me how to place the implant, can be very easy to understand. Okay, we remove the tooth, okay, and we're going to place the implant over the line, over the aesthetic line, okay, because we want that our crown is built on the abutment like this. Let's see the surgery a little bit faster. Usually we remove the tooth, and then with Prama we made the condensation. With the magnetic mallet we made the condensation.
And with this tip, it's very easy to go very parallel. You can put your implant very parallel between the tooth and between the implant stay, and you can measure with the probe your dipper, and you decide if you want to go in, or if you have a space enough to put the implant that you want.
So by the end, we use the burr. We are ready to place the implants, and the implants, as you can see, are deeper inside over the aesthetic line. Let's see in the next images. You can clearly understand this is the temporary. This is 2 months later. So you can see the papilla. You see that the implants, okay, maybe you can see my arrow, my pointer. You can see that the implant is above this line, hypothetic line, aesthetic line, is over here. So we have space to build. You can see from here, you see where is the implants. It's above this line. So we have space to build up our crown on the abutment, as you asked me.
In this case, it's incredible to see how the papilla between the implant behavior like a regular, like a natural root. the same behavior. You can see here the.
You can see that the papilla looks like a normal tooth. It doesn't look like you have an implant. Okay.
It's quite better between the implant than the implant and the bone and the tooth.
So let's keep. This is the image from above, and this is another image where you see another site made by the Prama, but meanwhile these were made lately. Okay. This has been made 3 years ago. So you can see that even in 3 years, nothing changed. Everything is so stable. Prama indicate treatment, this also tilted implant if you can put MUA. Yeah, we don't use to put any MUA because MUA is going to be divergent from the shape of the neck of the implants. So we prefer to build up the crown as a normal crown. Let's see what does it mean. It means that the crown that we build up usually looks like this. You have your crown, you have the abutment, but you don't have any MUA. Even if you have a tilted implants, you can use especially MUA, which are not invasive on the corner of the implant. And I will tell you later, or maybe during the course that we're going to hold in Romania, because otherwise there's so many questions to answer. So this is the final rehabilitation. Okay, this is the final rehabilitation. How nice is it? It looks like a normal tooth, but those are implants. So those are the implants that we placed 3 years ago, and those are the implants that we placed lately. You don't see any difference. Both of them, even after 3 years, are stable as the last that we place. And this is by the month. These are our technician, Ricardo. He makes all the prosthetics that you saw. And let's see another case, the last one. Okay, so we can have a little time. The last things that I show you, what happens if I do a preparation on the tooth and I prepare the Prama at the same time. So what about if I do a BOPT technique and what about if I prepare an implant like a BOPT? So let's see the comparison. This is the case. We remove one tooth, we prepare the other one, we place the implants. Where do we place the implants? Deeper, okay, than aesthetic line. So let's see the case. We remove the number 21. Like this. I don't show you the surgery, otherwise it takes too long. But this is the next day after the surgery. This is the shape made by the healing cup. The next day, 24 hours later. Then we place the temporary. Maybe it's not so nice. But 15 days later, it looks like this. The soft tissue is so nice. The only thing is I don't like the shape of the temporary crown. I don't like the nearby tooth. So I decided to make a new temporary, okay, which looks more the same. And this is the new crown on the implants, okay, and this is the new crown on the natural tooth. It doesn't look the same. What we can do, we do what we usually do on the natural tooth. We refine, we prepare the shape of the crown, and now that was at the beginning with temporary, and this is by the time changing the shape. So what you can see, you see that the crown, the temporary crown that we have on the tooth, on the implants or on the tooth, they work in the same time. The shape of my crown shape the shape of the gum. So this is the difference between, and this is how I built the crown. The crown that I built on the implants is made on the same way. Sorry, let me skip this. Is made as it was a natural tooth. So let's keep. You see how nice is it? They look the same. It doesn't look like this is an implant and this is a natural tooth. they look the same. Look that papilla. This is the final crowns, and the final crowns that we place in. You see that it looks like a normal crown, and this is by the end. So by the end, what happens? You have the same shape, the same gum, everything that looks the same. But in one side we have the implants. You see how nice is the gum on the implants, the Prama implants. You see that we have the base of the implants going on the base of the Prama. Then we have the cone. Then we have the connective tissue. We have space for the biological weave. And you can clearly understand from here that we have space for our soft tissue. So even if you are using an implant or a natural tooth, you can get by today very similar results. So the keywords that I would like to give you are Rampa effect, crown design, biological weave, space, and periosteum. And some homeworks that we would like to give you is check the bone resorption around your old implants in relation to the shape of the crown. Because the moment that you have the crown very close to the bone, you will see that you have more resorption on the spine of your implants. Then another homework that I would like to give you, or another hint, is check how wealthy is the soft tissue around your bone level implants and feel the smell. Because when you remove a crown from bone level implants, mostly you feel a bad smell. And the reason is because the crown goes very close to the bone. Then the last one, check how easy it is to build up a crown on your old implant. You saw that if I want to build a temporary crown on Prama implants, it is very easy. So, sorry, no, I didn't skip this. So this is by the hand, and then let's go to answers to some other question. Thanks to Sabetime, thank you to OsseoTouch, thank you Sweden Martina, Eugen. You didn't see much about Eugen, but the bond that we usually use now is by Eugen. So this is working as great. Beautiful result. I'm waiting eagerly for the digital solution, like immediate loading after guided surgery. Yeah, you can do that. Nice question. You can do whatever you like. If you prefer to use a digital images, or if you want to use a template to insert your implant, is fine. But always remember that your implant must be placed in, as you can see here. This is before the extraction, and then you can see the implants. The implants, the top of the implants, the top of the neck of the implants must be over. Let me show you by the pointer. Must be over the aesthetic line that could be like here. So the implants is deeper than that. So what do you think?
No, conclusion. It's we have a few minutes to have a conclusion. I think that this implant change our practice, our daily practice, because the result that we have is very, very fantastic and very unusual. This implant surprises us every day, absolutely, and surprise the patients that we need now in this particular moment of our story, European story. It's very important to surprise our patients. Every patient can see the reconstruction, and if when he meet some friends that have an implant, is the paragon between the gum of the Prama implant and the other is absolutely uncomparable. And I think that the use of this machine, the magnetic mallet, it's very easy to support the stability of the implant and the stability of the soft tissues.
Yes, so we can. Yes, so we may say by the end, okay, thank you, Mine. I saw you. Yeah, perfect. If you did already, yeah, if you did already your digital implant. But once again, I can say that if you want to do a modern kind of implantology, you need an implant which is different from the other, and Prama is completely different, as you understood, and we can deep more learning about that. Then you need a machine like a magnetic mallet, because it's a very important support for that. And then, of course, you need some other instruments, a surgery room, you need space, you need sedation, as I told you at the beginning. So all these pieces put together, okay, are the very reason why. Hello, do you platform switch? Do you do? No, you cannot do platform switching. I mean, the neck of the implants is already like a platform switching. So
you have the cone that the cone himself has a platform switching, because the inclination of the bone is the same concept of the platform switching.
The time is up. So goodbye. I hope to see you in Romania for our course with Sabetimet. I thank you very much. If you have any question, you can also request after the live. And I hope you understood. We didn't explain everything, of course, about Prama, but Prama is very easy. Even magnetic mallet makes the difference. So
bye-bye. Thank you very much. Ciao.